Whereas in the same thing, you wake up and you're like, today's going to be a great day kind of thing. Oh my God, you're having a laugh. Fucking lights. 10 seconds. Sorry about that, that's a joke. Where were we? If I was to go ahead and ask you to make a list of things that you want, and then on a separate piece of paper make a list of things that you don't want, if you then came to compare the two lists, you'll find that the list of don't wants far exceeds the list of wants. Now generally this is because the average person will focus more on the stuff that they don't want than the stuff that they want, and this then kind of breeds more of the stuff that they don't want, and they start attracting a lot more of the stuff that they don't want. And it's not necessarily because you're doing it on purpose, but it's because the more you identify with something and the more attention you pay to it, the more you'll realize that there's a lot of it around. So a classic case of this is, let's say, like if you were, or when you were a kid, if you ever played that game where you had to spot as many green cars as you could from point A to point B, or if you spot as many flocks of birds or pink cars or whatever, like, because now you're looking for that, or because you've now brought it to your subconscious or your conscious, you see a hell of a lot more of them, and you think, holy shit, there's actually like a lot of pink cars on the road kind of thing, weirdly enough. Or you've just bought yourself a new car, and now because that car means something to you, like you sort of all of a sudden go, shit, actually there's a shit ton of Teslas on the road, or whatever the case may be, or a shit ton of this car on the road. And it's because now it's your focus point, that's what you're identifying a lot with at this moment in time, so you're noticing a lot more of it around you. The same thing happens now with the stuff that you're focused on, whether it's positive or negative. So again, going back to this list of things that you don't want versus things that you want, if you've got a list of don't wants and they exceed your list of wants, there's more chance of you to see stuff that you don't want, if that makes sense. Because you've got, like, let's say you've got a list of 50 things that you don't want and only 10 things that you want. Well, there's a 5-to-1 ratio, so the chances of you seeing something you don't want is a hell of a lot higher, because that pool is a lot bigger than the little pool over here, which is the stuff that you want. But the simplicity of this whole thing is that you can literally just reframe your don't wants into wants. So let's say you had a friend, let's call him John again, right, because it seems to be a common thing in my videos. But your mate John and you fell out, and it was because, like, you wanted to do something and he wasn't up for it, because he's not interested in trying new things, and he's very controlling, and he's got a shit attitude, and like, you list off a load of character traits that you don't want in your next best friend. Well, because those are all negative, chances are you'll find a lot more of those traits in the people around you. But if you just reframed those to more positive, so you just said things like, well, even though John was super controlling and he didn't like trying new things, my next best friend is going to be really open to trying new things, and is going to be really chill to just go with the flow and just see where things take us, or whatever the case may be, right? So because now you've identified that that's a thing and those are important to you, and you've reframed those negatives to positives, you'll start seeing a hell of a lot more of those character traits in the people around you, and you'll see a lot more positivity in, again, the relationships that you're building, etc. So it's a pretty simple exercise, but it's one that it's worth its weight in gold, because, like, if you start reframing your entire list of don't wants and turn them all positive into a list of things that you do want, well, now the opposite of the original happens, where you've got like a list of 50 things that you do want, because you've reframed this list of negativities, or negatives into positives, and now that list of negatives is a hell of a lot smaller. So now you've got a 5-to-1 ratio in the other way, let's say, so you've got 5 times more chance of seeing good versus bad. And then this whole thing like escalates, and there's this massive snowball effect where all of a sudden you now start seeing more of the wants in your life on your daily journeys and stuff like that, because they're now something that you're focused on, and you're focused on your wants, not your don't wants. So if things aren't quite going to plan, and you're identifying that there's a lot of negativity around, and like you're feeling like there's a lot of bad vibes and stuff like that, identify what those vibes are, reframe them in such a way that they now become good vibes, and then just have a go at trying to focus on identifying more positive stuff. And every time you do see something that you don't want, reframe it in such a way that it now becomes a positive, and you can then use that to add to that list, which over the course of time will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you will identify more and more wants rather than don't wants. And the chances are that your average day is going to get that much better, because there's a hell of a lot more that you identify with better side and the happier side rather than the negative side. And I mean, there's a reason that 70% of the world's population is unhappy, and it's because 70% of the world's population are focused on the stuff that makes them unhappy and the stuff that makes them sad and the stuff that they don't want. Whereas if they were just reframing and focusing on the stuff that they do want, you'll see that there's a lot of good that happens in your average day. But because you're focused on the bad, there's a whole lot more that you see that's negative. It's that same thing where, let's say you wake up first thing in the morning and something goes wrong, and you're oh, for goodness sake, it's going to be one of those days. And then all of a sudden your day just goes from up here and it just falls off this cliff massively and rapidly. And it's because you're now expecting bad shit to happen, and you're expecting negative stuff. So all of a sudden you are noticing a lot more negative stuff, and it just perpetuates that momentum that just drags you downhill even faster. Whereas in the same thing, you wake up and you're today's going to be a great day kind of thing. Oh my god, you're having a laugh. Fucking lights. 10 seconds. Sorry about that, that's a joke. Where were we? Talking about... Oh yeah, so you wake up and you're holy shit, this is going to be a great day. And then all of a sudden, a chain reaction of stuff happens to then take you from there all the way up to here, because you're well, you've identified that today was going to be a good day, so you picked out a lot more happy stuff as your day went on, and it just added to that momentum to then take you higher. So if you're someone who's having a tough time and you're feeling like the world's against you and stuff like that, give this a go and let's see how it works out for you. It'd be great to hear what your thoughts are in the comments below. But again, on the other hand, maybe you think that this is all airy fairy and puppies and rainbows and it's not for you. I mean, each to their own, but truth is,